The chapel doors exploded open with a thunderclap crack, scattering rose petals like shrapnel across the polished oak floor. Joshua stood there, a ghost in a blinding white suit, his chest heaving as if he'd sprinted from hell itself. Eyes locked on the altar where his brother, his blood, his betrayer, vowed eternal love to a woman in lace. "If I'm dead to you," he roared, voice cracking like gunfire in the stunned silence, "then haunt your goddamn happily ever after." The congregation froze mid-applause, champagne flutes hovering like fragile accusations. Reverend Harlan's Bible slipped from his fingers, thumping onto the runner with a muffled thud that echoed louder than any sermon. Up front, golden-haired Daniel, the prodigal son returned not from war but from Wall Street's gilded cages, turned slowly, his tuxedo suddenly too tight, his new bride's hand limp in his. Emily's veil quivered, her blue eyes widening to saucers as if Joshua were the devil incarnate, risen from some Bible Belt folktale her daddy used to scare her with on humid Alabama nights. Joshua's heart hammered against his ribs, a war drum in the cage of his chest. He'd driven 14 hours straight from San Francisco, the Pacific's salty fog still clinging to his skin like a lover's regret. Windows down on 80 to let the wind scour the doubt from his soul. The white suit, crisp linen, tailored in a Castro Street shop where the salesman had winked and said, "Darling, you'll slim," now felt like armor forged in fire, every seam a scar from the life he'd clawed back from. He scanned the pews, Aunt Marlene dabbing her eyes with a lace hanky, Uncle Ray's face purpling like overripe tomatoes, and there, in the front row, his mother, Eleanor, queen of passive aggression and pecan pies, whose gasps sliced through the air sharper than any knife. "Joshua?" Daniel whispered, the word a ghost rattling in his throat. It was the first time his brother had said his name in 7 years, since that Christmas Eve when the family Bible had been slammed shut like a coffin lid. Emily tugged at Daniel's sleeve, her manicured nails digging in like claws. But he shook her off, stepping forward as if pulled by invisible strings. The organist, poor Mrs. Pritchard with her arthritic fingers, hit a wrong note that warbled into dissonance, the sound of a wedding unraveling thread by thread. Joshua laughed then, a jagged, hollow bark that ricocheted off the stained glass saints. "Surprise, Danny boy. The dead walk. Or did you forget? Last I checked, I was erased from the family tree faster than a liberal at a Trump rally." His voice dripped with that California sarcasm he'd honed over late-night drag brunches and therapy sessions. But underneath it, the boy from Mobile, Alabama, trembled. The boy who'd once shared bunk beds with Daniel, whispering dreams of MLB glory under the hum of cicadas, now stood exposed, every nerve ending raw as an open wound. Eleanor rose like a specter, her floral dress whispering against the pews, pearls clutched in one fist. "This is not the time, Joshua. Not here." "You've no right," her words choked off, eyes glistening with that familiar cocktail of shame and sorrow, the kind that had flavored every holiday card she'd sent to his P.O. box. Unsigned and scentless. "No right," Joshua echoed, advancing down the aisle, his polished loafers scuffing the silk runner. Whispers erupted like dry leaves in wind. "Is that him? The one they said drowned? Lord have mercy. He's queer as a $3 bill." He could feel their stares boring into him, pious pinpricks from folks who'd prayed him into oblivion. 7 years ago, after the coming out bomb dropped like napalm at the Sunday potluck, Mom, I'm gay. I love boys the way you love each other. His father, Harlan Sr., had bellowed. You're dead to us. Son. Dead. And just like that, Joshua was a phantom, no calls, no visits. His bedroom gutted and turned into a guest room for godly kin. He'd packed a duffel that night, hitchhiked to Birmingham, then hopped a Greyhound west, chasing rainbows that turned out to be oil slicks. But Daniel had stayed, the golden child, climbing corporate ladders while Joshua scraped by as a barista in the Mission District, serving lattes to tech bros who tipped in crypto and pity. They'd emailed once, a drunken missive from Joshua after his first Pride. Miss you, bro. Wish you could see the colors. Daniel's reply, proud of you. But Dad's sick. Come home. Joshua had deleted it. The ache too fresh. But here he was, crashing the fairy tale because Emily's save-the-date had arrived like a taunt, mailed to his old address, forwarded by a sympathetic cousin. Join us in holy matrimony, it cooed. Holy. As if matrimony could be holy without half the family. Reverend Harlan cleared his throat, stepping between them like a referee in a holy war. Son, this is a house of God. If you've come to disrupt. Joshua whirled on him, hazel eyes flashing. I came to witness. My brother's big day. Or did y'all burn my invitation with the rest of my sins? The congregation murmured, a tide of judgment swelling. Uncle Ray lumbered to his feet, jowls quivering. Boy, you ain't welcome. Get out, for I call the law. Joshua's gaze locked on Daniel's, searching for the brother who'd once stolen bases with him in Little League, who'd covered for him when he snuck out to kiss Tommy Hargrove behind the bleachers. That boy was gone, buried under Brooks Brothers suits and Southern Baptist bylaws. But there, flicker of something. Guilt? Tell me. Danny, Joshua pressed, voice dropping to a husky plea. Was it worth it? Pretending I never existed so you could play the perfect son. Daniel swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing like a buoy in a storm. Emily sidled up, her arm looping possessive around his waist. Daniel? Don't. Just jealous of us. Her voice was saccharine, laced with that debutante drawl, but her eyes, cold as catfish in a creek, betrayed the venom. Joshua had met her once, at a family reunion before the exile, when she'd whispered to Daniel, he's so flamboyant. Code for faggot in polite society. The air thickened, heavy with magnolia perfume and unspoken curses. Joshua's hands shook, the invitation crumpling further in his fist. He'd imagined this moment 1,000 times on fog-shrouded drives up the coast, storming in, demanding answers, maybe even forgiveness. But now, with all eyes on him like spotlights in an interrogation room, the script dissolved. I didn't come to fight, he said finally. Softer now, the fight leaching out like blood from a cut. I came because blood's thicker than bleach. Denny. And I thought maybe, just maybe, you'd want your brother at your wedding. Silence stretched, taut as a bowstring. Then, from the back, a new voice cut through, low, resonant, with a faint Boston lilt that didn't belong in this Bible-thumping tableau. Let him stay. Head swiveled. In the shadows of the last pew stood a man Joshua hadn't noticed, mid-30s, broad-shouldered in a navy suit that hugged like it was sewn on, dark hair cropped military short, green eyes steady as lighthouses in fog. He rose slowly, unfolding like a secret unfolding, and something in Joshua's chest unclenched, a spark, unbidden, in the ruins. "Who the hell are you?" Uncle Ray barked. But the man ignored him, striding forward with the easy confidence of someone who'd faced worse than small-town bigotry. "Name's Connor. Friend of the groom's. And if this is family, then Joshua's got every right to be here." His gaze met Joshua's, holding it with an intensity that felt like touch, warm, electric, pulling Joshua from the edge. Daniel blinked, as if waking from a trance. "Connor's. He's my best man. And yeah, just stay." The words hung there, fragile as frost on a windowpane. Emily's lips thinned to a slash, but she nodded curtly, the picture of gracious defeat. The organist struck up again, fumbling into Ave Maria, and the wedding lurched forward, a Frankenstein's monster of vows and veils. As the ceremony resumed, Joshua slipped into a back pew, the white suit a beacon amid the sea of pastels. Connor slid in beside him, close enough that Joshua caught the scent of sandalwood and sea salt, East Coast through and through. "Nice entrance," Connor murmured, lips quirking in a half-smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "You always crash weddings like a Bond villain?" Joshua huffed a laugh, the sound foreign in his throat. "Only the ones where I'm the villain in the family album." Up front, Daniel and Emily exchanged rings, gold glinting like promises under the chandeliers. Joshua's throat tightened, joy for his brother warring with the ghost of what-ifs. What if he'd stayed silent? What if love hadn't been the sin? Connor leaned in, breath ghosting Joshua's ear. "For what it's worth, you look like resurrection." "Beautiful." The word landed soft, a balm on scorched skin. Joshua turned, their faces inches apart, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a corpse. He felt alive, dangerously, deliciously so. The reception sprawled across the country club greens like a debutante's fever dream, twinkling lights strung between live oaks, a jazz quartet crooning Cole Porter under the stars, and a bar stocked with bourbon that could strip varnish off pews. Joshua nursed a whiskey neat, the burn steadying him as he watched Daniel and Emily cut the cake, her laughter tinkling like wind chimes, his forced and brittle. Family milled about, cousins in seersucker, aunts gossiping over shrimp cocktail, casting sidelong glances his way, as if he might combust from sheer queerness. "You gonna stand there brooding all night? Or dance with the devil?" Connor appeared at his elbow, 2 fresh drinks in hand, his tie loosened like an invitation. Up close, Joshua noted the faint scar above his lip, the kind earned from bar fights or bad decisions, and the way his shirt strained against shoulders built for carrying loads heavier than grudges. Joshua accepted the glass, clinking it against Connor's. "Brooding's my cardio. Keeps the ghosts at bay," but he let Connor steer him toward the makeshift dance floor, where couples swayed to "Fly Me to the Moon." The man's hand settled warm at the small of Joshua's back, a pressure both grounding and igniting. They moved together, awkward at first, Joshua's white suit whispering against Connor's navy, then fluid, bodies sinking like they'd rehearsed this under harvest moons. "You're Daniel's best man?" Joshua asked, voice low over the saxophone's wail. "How'd a Yankee like you end up in this Confederate confetti?" Connor chuckled, a rumble that vibrated through Joshua's chest. Business. I'm a PI, private investigator, out of Boston. Daniel hired me last year for some corporate espionage bullshit at his firm. We bonded over bad coffee and worse stakeouts. He mentioned you once. Said you were lost at sea. His eyes darkened, thumb brushing Joshua's hip bone through the linen. Didn't say you were this. Found. Heat flushed Joshua's cheeks, a rare vulnerability cracking his armor. Flattery'll get you everywhere. Boston. But careful, I'm a shipwreck. They spun closer, breaths mingling, the world narrowing to the press of chest to chest. For a moment, the wedding faded, the toasts, the whispers, the weight of eyes judging from the shadows. There was only Connor's hand firm on his, the stubble grazing his temple as they swayed, a slow burn kindling in Joshua's veins. Then, shattering the spell, Eleanor's voice sliced through. Joshua Elias Whitmore. A word. She stood at the edge of the floor, arms crossed, lips pursed in that maternal mask of concern. Connor released him with a squeeze, murmuring, "Go easy on her." "And on yourself." Joshua nodded, stealing as he followed her to a quiet corner by the azaleas, the night air thick with jasmine and tension. "You shouldn't have come," she said, not meeting his eyes, fiddling with her pearls. "Not like this. In that outfit." It's a slap in the face. Joshua's laugh was bitter as bile. The suit? Or me breathing? He gestured to the revelry. Look around. They're toasting love. Isn't that what you raised us for? Her face crumpled, tears carving tracks through powder. I raised you for salvation, Joshua. No. This parade of sin. Your father, he's gone now. God rest him, but he never stopped praying for you. For the boy we lost. She reached out, then faltered, hand hovering like a bird afraid to land. Lost. Joshua's voice broke, the whiskey's warmth turning to acid. You declared me dead. Funerals without bodies. That's what you gave me. Memories flooded, the empty chair at Thanksgiving, the Christmas cards with his name scratched out, the way Daniel's calls dried up after the first, I can't. Dad's watching. I had to protect the family, she whispered, the words a knife twist. Daniel's future. The church. You understand? Don't you? It was for the best. Best for who? He stepped back. The white suit suddenly soiled. Not me. I rebuilt from ashes, friends who became family, a life where I don't hide who I am. And yeah, it hurts. Every damn pride. Every time I see a brother-brother duo on TV and think of Danny. But I survived. Can you say the same? She sobbed then. A sound like shattering china. And Joshua, God help him, pulled her into his arms. She stiffened, then melted, clutching his lapels as if he might vanish again. I'm sorry, she murmured into his shoulder. My boy. My lost boy. As they stood there, entangled in the wreckage of what was, Joshua caught Connor's eye across the lawn, watching, waiting, a steady flame in the dark. The night deepened, stars pricking the Alabama sky like hesitant apologies. And for the first time, Joshua wondered if home could be salvaged, stitch by ragged stitch. But reconciliation's a fragile thread, and some knots run too deep. As the quartet struck up, at last, Daniel approached, Emily trailing like a shadow. "Josh," he said, clapping a hand on his shoulder, the gesture stiff as starched collars. "Glad you're here." "Really?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. And Joshua saw it then, the flicker of resentment, the unspoken, "Why now? Why ruin my day?" Emily chimed in, all sugar and spite. "It's just unexpected. We could have planned something. A quiet lunch tomorrow?" Her hand on Daniel's arm was proprietary, a claim staked in diamonds. Joshua nodded. "Throw tight." "Tomorrow sounds good." But as they walked away, her whisper carried on the breeze, "Keep him away from the kids' table. You know how he is." The words landed like buckshot, scattering fresh wounds. Connor found him later by the bar, alone with his third whiskey. "Rough night for resurrections," he said, sliding onto the stool beside him. Their knees brushed, a spark in the dim. "You have no idea," Joshua replied, turning to face him fully. Connor's face was open, earnest, no pity, just presence. "Tell me about the sea you got lost in." And so, under the indifferent stars, Joshua spilled it all, the coming out carnage, the Greyhound exodus to Frisco's embrace, the string of lovers who came like comets and burned out fast. Connor listened, nodding, his hand finding Joshua's under the bar top, a anchor in the undertow. When Joshua finished, voice raw, Connor leaned in. "Sounds like you swam through sharks." "Respect." Then, softer, "Dance with me again?" They did. This time under the oaks, away from prying eyes. Bodies pressed close, Joshua's head on Connor's shoulder, inhaling that sea salt promise. "What about you?" Joshua murmured. "What's a PI doing playing wingman to bigots?" Connor's laugh was self-deprecating. "Ex-Marine. Saw too much sand and sorrow in Fallujah. Now I chase white-collar crooks. Daniel's case led me here. Turns out his firm's got skeletons. But tonight? Tonight I'm off duty." His lips brushed Joshua's temple. A question in the grays. Joshua lifted his head, eyes searching green depths. The pull was magnetic, inevitable. He closed the gap, their mouths meeting in a kiss that tasted of whiskey and slow, exploratory, then hungry, hands roaming like explorers claiming new lands. The world blurred, laughter from the tent, the quartet's fade, just heartbeats sinking, breath shared. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. "My hotel's 5 minutes away," Connor whispered, voice gravel. Joshua hesitated, glancing back at the party, Daniel's toast ringing out, Eleanor's hopeful gaze from afar. "I can't. Not yet." "Too much unfinished." Connor nodded. "No pressure. Just understanding." "Fair. But if you need a lifeline." He pressed a card into Joshua's palm, simple, embossed, Connor Riley Investigations. As Connor melted into the crowd, Joshua pocketed it, the card warm as a talisman. The night wound down, cake crumbs and confetti littering the grass like fallen dreams. Daniel pulled him aside before the send-off, the brothers alone by the valet stand. "Thanks for coming," Daniel said, shuffling. "Means a lot." "Does it?" Joshua probed, searching for truth. Daniel's facade cracked. "I miss you." But Dad's ghost. It's heavy. And Emily, she worries about the optics. Church board and all. Optics, Joshua echoed. The word ash on his tongue. So I'm the family skeleton in the closet. Got it. No. That's not, Daniel started. But the limo horn blared. Emily waving from the window. We'll talk. Promise. Joshua watched them drive off in a spray of gravel. Rice pelting the night like feudal prayers. Eleanor hugged him goodbye. Whispering, "Sit." Please. He promised nothing. Climbing into his rental with the top down. Wind whipping tears from his eyes as he aimed for the highway. Back in his motel room, cheap. With a flickering neon sign buzzing vacancy, like a dirge, Joshua stripped the white suit. Folding it with care. Stains of grass and regret blooming on the lapels. He showered hot. Steam fogging the mirror. And when he wiped it clear, his reflection stared back, haunted eyes. But alive. Connor's card lay on the sink. Tempting. He dialed before doubt could intervene. Riley. It's the ghost, Joshua said. Voice steady. Got room for one more night? Connor's reply was instant. Warm as dawn. Doors open. The drive to Connor's hotel was a blur of taillights and tangled thoughts. The Alabama backroads unspooling like veins under moonlight. Joshua's rental hugged the curves. Engine purring a low counterpoint to the classic rock station crackling from the speakers. Springsteen wailing about thunder roads and glory days. Fitting soundtrack for a homecoming gone sideways. His phone buzzed once, a text from Eleanor. Proud of you tonight. Breakfast? The word hit like a curveball. Unexpected and bruising. He typed back a thumbs-up emoji. The coward's truce. Then silenced the ringer. Connor's hotel loomed off the interstate, a mid-tier chain with a porte-cochere and valets who eyed Joshua's rumpled white suit like he'd just escaped a crime scene. The elevator ride was silent. Church. Connor's hand brushing his as they leaned against opposite walls. The air thick with unspoken hungers. When the doors dinged open on the 5th floor, Connor's room was at the end, standard king, with a view of the parking lot and a minibar stocked for lonesome travelers. Classy, Joshua quipped, kicking off his shoes as the door clicked shut. The carpet was scratchy under his socks. The bedspread a faded plaid that screamed, divorce pit stop. Connor shrugged out of his jacket, hanging it with military precision. Perks of the job. Stakeouts don't come with room service. He crossed the room in 2 strides, cupping Joshua's face in calloused palms, thumbs tracing jawlines like mapping terrain. You sure about this? No ghosts tagging along. Joshua's breath hitched. The vulnerability stark in the lamplight. Ghosts are all I've got. But tonight, I want skin, not specters. He surged up, capturing Connor's mouth again. This kiss fiercer, no tentative grazes. Just raw need. Teeth nipping. Tongues dueling like fencers. Hands fumbled buttons. Shirts pooling on the floor in a heap of navy and white. Exposing torsos marked by life, Joshua's lean runner's build. Inked with a small rainbow flag on his ribcage. Faded from too many beach days, Connor's broader frame. Corded muscle etched with a marine tattoo snaking across his pec, a bald eagle clutching lightning. Fierce and faded. They tumbled onto the bed. A tangle of limbs and laughter. The mattress creaking protest under their weight. Connor's mouth trailed fire down Joshua's neck. Sucking marks that would bruise purple by morning, badges of rebellion. You're gorgeous, Connor growled against collarbone. Fingers deft at Joshua's belt, sliding denim down hips with reverence. Joshua arched, gasping as cool air kissed heated skin, his own hands exploring the V of Connor's hips. The course trail leading south. It was messy, urgent, lube from Connor's dop kit, half spilled in haste, condoms crinkling like secrets. Joshua straddled him, guiding, sinking slow with a moan that echoed off the walls, Connor's hands gripping thighs hard enough to leave prints. They moved like a storm, building, cresting, Joshua's head thrown back, dark hair wild, cries swallowed in kisses. When release hit, it was cataclysmic, Joshua shuddering, spilling hot across Connor's chest. Connor following with a guttural curse, hips bucking like waves crashing. They lay spent, sheets twisted like battle flags, breaths sinking in the quiet. Connor traced lazy patterns on Joshua's back, fingers spelling nonsense words in sweat-slick skin. That, he said finally, voice husky, was better than any stakeout payoff. Joshua chuckled, pillowing his head on Connor's chest, the steady thump of heart a lullaby. High praise from a Marine. What's the mission now? Guard my virtue? Till morning. At least. Connor's arm tightened. Possessive yet gentle. And Joshua felt it then, the stirrings of something deeper than rebound heat. A connection. Fragile as morning dew. But real. Sleep came fitful. Dreams laced with wedding bells and Bible verses. Daniel's face morphing into their father's, stern, unyielding. Joshua woke to dawn filtering through cheap curtains. Connor already up, brewing lobby coffee in a styrofoam cup. What? 2 sugars? He asked, handing it over with a kiss to the forehead. Psychic now? Or just good at reading ruins? Joshua sipped, the bitterness grounding him. They dressed slow. Stealing touches, Connor buttoning Joshua's shirt, Joshua straightening Connor's tie, like lovers with all the time in the world, ignoring the ticking clock of checkout. Breakfast with Eleanor was at a diner off Highway 98, formica tables sticky with syrup residue. Waitresses in aprons calling everyone Han, the air redolent of bacon and regret. She arrived early, perched on a vinyl booth like a bird on a wire, her Bible tucked under one arm. Joshua slid in opposite, Connor opting for the counter stool nearby, giving you space, he'd said with a wink, but close enough to intervene if tempers flared. Vug. Rested, Eleanor noted, eyes flicking to the faint mark peeking above Joshua's collar. Color bloomed on her cheeks, but she pressed on, unfolding a napkin with precision. Last night was a lot. But seeing you with Daniel, it reminded me of when you boys were little. Chasing fireflies in the yard. Joshua stirred his grits. Appetite fled. Fireflies don't judge. People do. He glanced at Connor, who was charming the waitress with stories of Boston winters, his laugh carrying like a lifeline. She said, folding hands in prayer pose. I know I failed you. After your father. He was so angry, Joshua. At the world. At himself maybe. And I let him lead. But I've been reading books from the library, even one by that Episcopalian preacher who says love is love. Her voice trembled, the admission seismic in its smallness. Hope flickered. Tentative. And? Does it change anything? It changes me, she said, reaching across to squeeze his hand, cold fingers warming in his. If you'll let me try. They talked then, haltingly, about the years apart. Joshua's barista gigs turning into graphic design for queer nonprofits. Eleanor's quiet volunteering at the food bank. Slipping dollars to homeless kids who looked too much like her lost son. Connor joined midway, sliding into the booth with mimosas, for the Holy Trinity, he joked, and Eleanor thawed, peppering him with questions about Beantown chowder and his line of work. By the time plates cleared, something shifted, a bridge mended. Rickety but standing. Come for Easter? She asked as they parted, hugging Joshua fierce. Bring your friend. Connor saluted. Wouldn't miss it, ma'am. Driving away. Joshua's hand found Connor's thigh. Squeezing. You didn't have to play nice. Family's family, Connor replied. Simple as that. Even the ones you choose. But peace is a jealous mistress. And Alabama's underbelly doesn't yield easy. That afternoon, as Joshua packed for the return trek west, his phone lit up with a voicemail from an unknown mobile number. Daniel's voice. Clipped and urgent. Josh? We need to talk. Meet me at the old mill. Alone. The mill squatted on the riverbank like a forgotten relic, rusted silos clawing the sky. Weeds choking the loading docks where they'd once skipped rocks as kids. Joshua arrived as the sun dipped low, painting the water bloody, his white suit swapped for jeans and a faded Ramones tee. Daniel paced the gravel, hands jammed in pockets, face gaunt in the twilight. You hungover or just allergic to happiness? Joshua called, locking the car. No answer. Just a nod toward the shadowed interior. Inside. The air hung heavy with mildew and memory, beams creaking like old bones. Daniel spun, eyes wild. What the hell? Josh? Showing up like that? In front of everyone? Emily's furious. The church elders are whispering about scandal. Joshua's gut twisted. Scandal? That's your takeaway? I came home. Denny. For you. For me. Daniel barked a laugh. Bitter as chicory. You came to blow it all up? Dad would have rolled in his grave. Dad's dead, Joshua shot back. Voice echoing. And he killed us both long before. You chose sides, his. The perfect son. Wedding bells and boardrooms. I chose truth. Daniel advanced, finger jabbing. Truth? Your truth cost us everything. After you left, the congregation shunned us. Whispers at the plant. Dad's heart attack from the stress. I had to claw my way to New York. Prove I wasn't tainted by association. And now you waltz back. Playing martyr in that fucking suit. Kissing some guy at my reception. Joshua recoiled. Heat rising. You saw that. Everyone did. Daniel's face contorted. A mask cracking. It was disgusting. Like you had to rub it in. The word landed like a slap, reigniting old fires. Disgusting? That's me. Denny. Good. Not a phase. Not a choice, a fact. And if that's too much for your fairy tale life, then fuck your invite. Daniel grabbed his arm. Grip vice tight. You think I wanted this? I loved you. Just. Still do. But Emily, she's pregnant. We can't afford the drama. The church, it's all hanging by threads. Pregnant. The revelation staggered Joshua. Joy for his brother warring with betrayal's sting. Congrats. Really? But don't use a kid as a shield for your cowardice. Daniel released him. Deflating. Just quietly. For old time's sake. Joshua backed away. Heart fracturing anew. Old times are dead. Brother. Like me. Remember. He fled to the car. Tires spinning gravel as he roared off. Tears blurring the road. Connor's hotel was a beacon. He crashed there again. Collapsing into arms that held without question. Tell me, Connor urged. Later. As they lay tangled. Moonlight striping the bed. Joshua did. Words pouring like rain. Daniel's venom. The mill's ghosts. The ache of blood turned poison. Connor listened. Then pulled him close. Family's messy. But you're not alone in it. That night. Love bloomed tentative, whispers in the dark. Bodies entwining slow. Exploratory. Mapping scars with lips. Connor shared fragments. His own coming out in a Marine barracks. Fists and forgiveness. The ex who left when the PTSD nightmares got too loud. We all crash somewhere, he said. Fingers laced with Joshua's. Question is, who helps you rebuild? Morning brought decisions. Joshua's flight home loomed. But Connor's case in Mobile extended, a lead on Daniel's corporate thief. Stay a week, Connor proposed over room service eggs. Help me snoop. Be my Watson. Joshua hesitated. Eleanor's invite echoing. Daniel's plea festering. What if it's just delaying the inevitable? Running from the mess? Connor's eyes held steady. Or facing it with backup? Your call? Ghost. He stayed. Days blurred into a rhythm, mornings with Eleanor at the diner. Her thawing questions about San Francisco's lifestyle, evenings tailing suspects with Connor, boring stakeouts in rental sedans. Punctuated by diner fries and stolen kisses in supply closets. One night, holed up in a Waffle House at 2 a.m., Connor cracked open. I don't do this, the hearts and flowers shit. Last guy bailed when I wouldn't leave the job. Joshua fed him a fry. Grease slick fingers lingering. Good thing I'm no flowers guy. But hearts? That's negotiable. Laughter eased the edges. But shadows loomed. Daniel called twice, ignored, then showed at Eleanor's doorstep midweek. Face thunderous. Tell your prodigal to back off. He's poisoning everything. Steel in her spine for the first time. Barred the door. He's your brother. Daniel. Act like it. Joshua watched from the kitchen. Pride swelling. But the rift widened, Emily's texts to Eleanor venomous. Church friends withdrawing invites. Climax brewed on Friday, Connor's bust. They tracked the corporate mole, a junior exec with a gambling Jones, to a seedy bar on the bayou. Stakeout turned takedown, Joshua distracting with flirtatious banter at the pool table. Connor slipping in to cuff the guy mid-hustle. Adrenaline surged. Victory kiss in the parking lot tasting of bourbon and triumph. But jubilation soured when Daniel appeared at the precinct. Bailing his employee out, the mole was Emily's cousin. Tangled in family webs. You did this, Daniel hissed at Joshua, spotting him in the waiting area. Sabotaging my wedding week? It was justice, Joshua retorted. Connor at his side like a shield. Not personal. Everything's personal with you. Daniel exploded. Voice bouncing off cinderblocks. You come back. Stir shit. Now this? Emily's family, our future, ruined because of your lifestyle bleeding into mine. Connor stepped forward. Voice calm thunder. Easy. This was about fraud. Not fairy tales. Daniel whirled on him. And you, enabling him? Some queer PI pity project. The slur hung. Toxic. Joshua's vision tunneled. Fists clenching. Get out. Danny. Before I make you. Daniel left. But the damage festered. That night. Over takeout Thai in Connor's room. Joshua broke. He's right. I poison everything. Maybe I should go. Connor pulled him onto the bed. Fierce. Bullshit. You're light in the dark. Just don't let his fear dim you. They made love then, tender. Reclaiming Connor's body a vow. Every thrust a promise, stay. Fight. Yet betrayal's blade cuts deep. Saturday dawned with Eleanor's call. Daniel's gone. Packed up Emily. Headed to her folks. Said you're why it all fell apart. Her voice cracked. The bridge buckling. Joshua drove to the family home. Connor trailing. The house loomed, white clapboard. Porch swing creaking empty. Eleanor met them on the steps. Hollow-eyed. He left a letter. For you. Joshua's hands shook opening it. I can't do this. Just. The wedding. The baby, it's too much with you here. Dredging up Dad's hate. You're my brother. But this. It's broken. Don't follow. Start fresh. Like I have to. Tears blurred ink. Betrayal. Pure, Daniel fleeing not from scandal, but from him. He chose erasure again, Joshua whispered, crumpling the paper. Eleanor hugged him, sobbing. He'll come around. He has to, but doubt not. Connor drove them back, hand on Joshua's knee. What now? Ghost. Joshua stared at the passing pines. Resolve hardening. Now, I live. Loudly. With or without him. The days post-Daniel's exodus stretched like taffy, sticky. Oversweet. Pulling Joshua in directions he hadn't mapped. Mobile's humid haze clung to everything, turning commutes into saunas. But Eleanor's house became a reluctant harbor, her guest room aired out. Photos of Joshua as a gap-toothed kid dusted off and propped on the mantel. Connor extended his stay, citing loose ends on the case. But his presence was the real glue, mornings with coffee on the porch swing, where he'd spin yarns of Boston blizzards and marine mishaps, drawing Eleanor's rare smiles. You're good for him, she confided one evening, shelling peas on the back stoop while Joshua grilled burgers, the sizzle masking her words. Connor, wiping sweat from his brow with a bandana, paused mid-chop of onions. Ma'am, he's good for me. Keeps me honest. She nodded, peas plinking into a bowl like verdant hail. Honesty's what broke us. But maybe it's the fix too. It was the closest she'd come to absolution. And Connor filed it away. Later whispering to Joshua as they slow danced in the kitchen to Eleanor's old Sinatra records, your mom's tougher than she looks. Like her son. Joshua melted into him. Cheek on shoulder. The linoleum cool under bare feet. Flatterer. But yeah, she's trying. Church picnic invite yesterday. Said to bring my +1. No questions. Laughter bubbled, light as the beer they cracked after. But undercurrent ran deep, Daniel's silence a specter at the table, his absence an open wound scabbed but itching. Work called Joshua back midweek, a freelance gig designing Pride merch for a New Orleans collective, deadlines looming like storm clouds over the Gulf. He holed up in Eleanor's spare office, laptop humming, sketching rainbows that bled into abstracts of fractured families, suits morphing into wings. Connor popped in with sandwiches, perching on the desk's edge, feet dangling like a kid's. Artist at work. What's the theme? Resurrection chic? Something like that. Joshua saved a file, spinning his chair to face him. Connor's legs parted instinctively, Joshua slotting between like puzzle pieces, hands on thighs. The kiss started soft, gratitude, affection, then heated. Connor's fingers threading hair, tugging just enough to elicit a gasp. Doors open, Joshua murmured against lips. But neither cared. The risk a thrill. They didn't cross the line, not with Eleanor humming hymns in the living room, but the tension simmered. A pot on slow boil. They stole away to Connor's hotel. The ritual familiar now, keycard beep, clothes shedding like skins, bodies colliding in a symphony of sighs and skin slaps. Connor was a study in contrasts, tender explorer one moment, mapping Joshua's freckles with tongue, dominant force the next. Pinning wrists, growling commands that sent shivers racing. Mine, he'd breathe. Not possessive but protective. And Joshua surrendered, floating in the safety of it. Yet romance's bloom invited thorns. Whispers reached Eleanor through church ladies, that Yankees trouble, divorced. They say, and godless. She defended, fierce as a mama bear. But doubt crept into her eyes over pot roast dinners. He's steady, she'd asked Joshua. For covering. Steadier than most, he'd reply, glancing at Connor, who shoveled mashed potatoes with boyish gusto. Seen me at my worst. Still here. Connor caught the thread. Later in bed. Post-coital glow fading to vulnerability. Your mom's eyeing me like I'm the devil's detail. Should I bow out? Joshua traced the eagle nail following feathers. She's Baptist? Not blind. Give her time. But the seed planted, watered by a call from Connor's firm, case closed. Flight booked for Logan in 3 days. Boston needs me, he said over takeout lo mein. Chopsticks paused. Plus, we could do weekends. Or you visit, I've got a loft in Back Bay. Killer harbor views. Joshua's chest tightened. Fork scraping styrofoam. Long distance? I'm game. But after Daniel, the idea of half measures feels like settling. Connor set his food aside, pulling Joshua's hands into his. Not settling. Building. I've got baggage, exes who bolted. Nights I wake screaming sand. But you're the first who makes me want to unpack. The words unlocked something. Tears pricking Joshua's eyes. They made love that night urgent. Desperate, Connor deep and deliberate. Joshua riding the wave. Nails raking backs. Cries muffled in pillows. Climax shattered them. Aftershocks lingering in whispers. Come with me. To Boston. Start fresh. Temptation gnawed. San Francisco held anchors, friends at the Queer Center. A sublet he loved, but roots here tugged, Eleanor's tentative thaw. the brother-shaped hole aching for fill. 1 week, Joshua conceded. Trial run. Fitsticks? I pack. Connor's grin split wide, sealing it with a kiss tasting of soy and promise. But fate's a fickle bartender, mixing joy with bitters. The church picnic dawned sticky hot. Folding tables groaning under fried chicken and ambrosia salad. Kids chasing frisbees across the park grass. Eleanor introduced them as my Joshua and his Connor, chin lifted defiant. But eyes darted to the elders clustered by the lemonade, Ray included. His scowl a thunderhead. Folks were polite. Southern veneer thick, handshakes. Small talk about the humidity, Lord. It's hotter than Satan's sauna. But undercurrents swirled. A deacon's wife cornered Eleanor, praying for guidance. Sister. That lifestyle, it's a hard road. Joshua overheard. Stomach souring. But Connor's hand at his elbow steadied. Let him stew. We're here for the slaw. They ate under a live oak. Branches draped in Spanish moss like funeral veils. Conversation flowed easy, Eleanor quizzing Connor on clam chowder recipes. Him obliging with exaggerated accents, until Daniel's name surfaced. Inevitable as humidity. Heard from him, Uncle Ray lumbered over. Plate piled high. Plopping down uninvited. Eleanor stiffened. Not a peep. And you? Ray grunted. Forking coleslaw. Emily's folks say he's buried in work. New posting in Atlanta. Good for him, fresh start. His gaze slid to Joshua. Some folks need distance to heal. Connor's jaw ticked. But Joshua jumped in. Voice even. Healing's a two-way street. Uncle. Ever think of paving it? Ray's laugh boomed false. Boy. You always had mouth. But this, he waved vaguely at Connor, ain't paving. It's potholes. The table fell silent. Eleanor's fork clattering. Connor rose slow. Napkin dabbing lips. With respect, sir. Love's no pothole. It's the road. Ray's face mottled. But before he could retort, a scream pierced the air, sharp, feminine, from the playground. Chaos erupted. A girl, maybe 8, sprawled on the mulch. Ankle twisted. Her wail drawing a crowd. Joshua bolted first. Connor on heels. Eleanor fretting behind. The kid, Pastor Harlan's granddaughter, clutched her leg. Tears streaking dirt-smeared cheeks. Easy. Sweetheart, Joshua cooed. Kneeling. His designer's hands gentle as he assessed. Twisted. Not broken. Let's get ice. Connor scooped her up effortless. Marine strength belying care. Carrying her to the first aid tent while the pastor blustered thanks. In the aftermath, as bandages wrapped and juice boxes soothed, opinions shifted subtle, murmurs of, that one's handy, nods to Connor's calm command. Ray even clapped Joshua's shoulder later, good instincts. Nephew, but genuine. Eleanor beamed, linking arms with them as they packed up. Y'all saved the day. Driving home. Windows down. Wind tousling hair. Joshua felt it, belonging. Tentative shoots pushing through cracked soil. Picnic wasn't half bad, he said to Connor. Hand on gearshift. High praise from the skeptic. Connor grinned. But his phone buzzed. Boston? Insistent. He silenced it. But the shadow lingered. That evening, betrayal's echo resounded. A package arrived at Eleanor's, unmarked. addressed to Joshua. Inside, the white suit from the wedding. Laundered crisp but slashed at the seams. Irreparable. Tucked in the pocket? A note in Emily's looping script. Keep your drama off our doorstep. Daniel wants no part. Stay away, for the baby's sake. Joshua's knees buckled. Suit pooling like eviscerated hope. Eleanor gasped. Clutching pearls, Connor cursed low. Fists clenching. That bitch, he growled. Daniel spineless. Letting her wield the knife. It's him, Joshua whispered. Tracing the tears, deliberate. Vicious. He kept it? Planned this. Erasing me again. Rage boiled. Hot and helpless. Tears carving paths. He stormed out. Pacing the yard under fireflies. Their glow mocking in the dusk. Connor followed. Wrapping arms around from behind. Chin on shoulder. Don't you let me. You're more than their discard. But what if I'm not? Joshua turned. Voice fracturing. What if coming back was a mistake? I had a life in Frisco, free, fierce. It's quicksand. Connor cupped his face. Thumbs swiping tears. Then we fight the sink. Or we leave, together. Boston's got rainbows too. You know. Pris. Bars. A loft with your sketches on the walls. The offer hung. Lifeline or noose. Eleanor joined them. Suit bundled in her arms like a fallen soldier. Burn it, she said. Flint in her eyes. Or mend it. But don't let it define you. They chose fire, a backyard blaze. The white linen curling black. Sparks rising like freed prayers. As flames died, Joshua leaned into Connor. Resolve crystallizing. Boston. Let's try. But climax crested unbidden the next dawn. Connor's phone rang at 5 a.m., his ex. Voice slurred through tears, Jake's gone. Overdose. Come home. From a marriage Connor called youthful idiocy. The ex had custody, but Connor's visits were lifelines. Connor's face drained of color. Packing frantic. I gotta go. Now. Joshua nodded. Helping fold shirts? The loft dream crumbling like ash. Jake, you stuff? Like his old man, Joshua said. Zipping the duffel. Forcing brightness. You'll fix it. Connor paused. Eyes haunted. What about us? Long distance for real now. Joshua swallowed the lump. We'll make it. Calls. Heights, whatever. But doubt gnawed. Another half measure. Another ghost. At the airport drop-off. Kiss goodbye lingered, desperate. Devouring. I love you, Connor blurted. The words new. Terrifying. Joshua echoed it. Heart pounding. Watching the terminal swallow him. Blown. Joshua drove to the mill, haunt of betrayals, sitting on the dock. River murmuring secrets. His phone buzzed, Daniel. Heard about the suit. Emily overreacted. Rage surged. Pure. He hurled a rock into the current. Ripples spreading. You've chosen. Live with it. Sit. Blocked. Catharsis? Bitter as gall. Eleanor found him there. Thermos of sweet tea in hand. Come home. Son. Not here, the house. Our house, he went. But home felt hollow. Days blurred, Designs submitted. Eleanor's church potlucks endured with gritted smiles. Connor's calls a tether across time zones. Jake stable? Rehab for the ex? But Connor's voice edged with exhaustion. Miss you, he'd say. And Joshua would. But distance bred distance. Missed connections? Silences stretching. Then, the gut punch, a week later. Scrolling X in a sleepless fog. Joshua stumbled on Daniel's post. Atlanta skyline. Emily beaming. Ultrasound photo captioned Baby Whitmore incoming. Blessings abound. Family first new beginnings. No mention of ghosts. No tags for lost brothers. The likes poured and raised thumbs up. Church friends amens. Joshua's finger hovered over comment. Congrats? Asshole. Then deleted. Chest caving. He called Connor. Voice small. Saw Daniel's post. Baby's real. And I'm nothing. You're everything, Connor soothed. But static crackled. Delay mocking. Hang tight. I'm coming down soon. The stretched. Cases piling. Jake's therapy sessions swallowing weekends. Joshua threw himself into work, a mural commission for Mobile's first queer youth center. Vibrant strokes of color defying the gray. Eleanor helped. Holding ladders. Her own sketches surprising, abstract hearts in pastels. Fragile but bold. One night, paint splattered and spent. She broached it. Connor's a good man. But if he's pulling away. He's not, Joshua lied. Wiping cerulean from his hands. But the seed sprouted, a text from a mutual friend, heard Connor's back with his ex. Helping with the kid. Complicated. Denial first. Then dread. He confronted over video call. Screen grainy. The friend said you're reconciling? Connor's face fell. Pixels blurring tears. Not like that. She's drowning. Jake needs stability. But us. Good. I love you. This isn't betrayal, Joshua finished. Voice steel. Feels like it. Daniel's ghost. Now yours. I can't keep resurrecting. Give me time, Connor pleaded. Please. But time's a thief. Joshua hung up, blocking the ache. Days later, a letter arrived, Eleanor's handwriting. But Daniel's words inside, I was wrong. Emily's pushing divorce, the suit was her. Not me. Baby's coming. But without family, I need you. Forgive? Temptation ward, bridge or burn? Joshua folded it away. Focusing on the mural, figures linking hands across divides. Colors bleeding hopeful. Climax crashed on a rain-lashed Friday. Connor at the door. Duffel at feet. I quit the firm. Told the ex no, co-parenting. Not couple. I'm here. For you. If you'll have me. Joshua's heart seized. Doorframe gripped. You left Boston? For this. For us. Connor stepped close. Rain dripping. Eyes earnest. Jake's with her. Stable. My life's wherever you are. Kiss then, fierce. Affirming, rain mingling with tears. Bodies crashing inside. Clothes shedding wet. They tumbled to the guest bed. Eleanor's discretion granting privacy. Love making a reclamation. Slow builds to frenzied peaks. Connor's vows murmured against skin. Yours. Always. But dawn brought truth's mirror. Over coffee, Eleanor eyeing them fond. Joshua voiced the rift. Daniel's letter. Wants forgiveness. Connor squeezed his hand. Your call. But whatever. I'm in your corner. Joshua burned the letter in the sink. Blue flame devouring ink. Not yet. Maybe never. But for Mom. A start. Months unfurled like kudzu. Relentless and green. Weaving Joshua's life into Alabama's reluctant embrace. The mural bloomed on the youth center wall, a riot of interlocking figures. Hands clasped across chasms of color, symbolizing bridges built from broken beams. Dedication Day drew a crowd, queer kids with rainbow pins, church allies clutching programs, even Ray in the back, arms crossed but nodding. Eleanor stood beside Joshua, her hand in his, Connor on the other flank, a triangle of quiet strength. You did this, she whispered as scissors snipped the ribbon, flashbulbs popping like hesitant applause. This, Joshua echoed, gesturing to the vibrant chaos. We did. All the ghosts who didn't stay buried. Speeches followed, teary thanks from a teen with fresh buzz cut and fresher scars, but Joshua's words cut deepest. Family isn't blood alone. It's choice. It's showing up, white suit or not, and saying, I'm here. Connor's grip tightened, pride radiating like heat from a hearth. Life settled into grooves worn smooth, Connor freelancing investigations from a home office in Eleanor's converted garage. Stakeouts swapped for local missing pets cases that tugged less but paid steady. Joshua's design work flourished, commissions from Atlanta galleries. A children's book on families of all flavors, illustrated in his looping lines. They cooked together, Connor's clam chowder clashing hilariously with Eleanor's cornbread. Laughter filling the dining room where once silence reigned. Eleanor evolved too. Subtle as seasons, Bible study groups now included progressive texts. Her potlucks inviting center volunteers. Grace isn't earned, she'd say over tea. Pearls glinting softer. It's given. Like you boys gave me a second chance. Joshua watched her bloom. The woman who'd once prayed away his truth now defending it at Bridge Club. Earning eye rolls but also quiet respect. Romance deepened. Roots delving past infatuation's topsoil. Connor proposed a road trip up the Natchez Trace, chasing fall foliage through Mississippi's amber haze. They drove with the top down, Springsteen on repeat, stopping at overlooks to kiss against oaks older than grudges. One night, in a Natchez B&B with clawfoot tubs and four-poster beds, Connor knelt by candlelight, not with a ring, but a key to a cottage he'd bought sight unseen in Fairhope, a bayfront fixer-upper. Our start, he said, voice gravel rough. No ghosts, just us. Joshua pulled him up, kissing fierce. Just 1,000 times. They christened the key that night, bodies slick with sweat and certainty. Love-making a vow etched in moans, Connor's hands worshipping hips, Joshua's teeth marking shoulders, releases crashing like Gulf waves. Tangled in sheets scented with lavender, Joshua traced Connor's scars. Jake? How's the little man? Connor's chest rose steady. Visits every other weekend. He's into dinosaurs now, calls me Freck's dad. This. We're civil. Co-parenting apps and all. The pause. Thumb stroking Joshua's cheek. He asks about you. When he visits. Warm spread. Tentative. Uncle Josh? I could live with that. But deeper currents stirred. Connor's eyes shadowed. The weight of fatherhood, a horizon Joshua hadn't fully charted. You ever regret? The Marines. This. The kid. Regret. Connor propped on elbow. Green eyes piercing. They led me here. To you. Kissed them. Ceiling and sleep came easy. Dreams of cottages and colicky newborns dancing absurd. Back home, conflict simmered low. Daniel's silence stretched elastic, snapping only in holiday cards. A sonogram turned Christmas portrait. Baby boy named Harlan Daniel 4. Cherubic in elf ears. Thinking of you. The note read, Sin. Eleanor forwarded it with a post-it. He's hurting too. Pray? Joshua stared at the photo, tiny fist waving like a white flag, and felt the old Pole blood's insistent hum. New Year's brought the boil over. A storm rolled in off the Gulf. Winds howling like banshees. Power flickering as they hunkered in the cottage. Walls half-painted. Furniture sparse but theirs. Connor stoked the fireplace. Flames dancing shadows. While Joshua mulled spiked cider. Daniel texted. He admitted. Phone screen glowing. In town. Can we meet? Neutral ground. Connor handed him a mug. Steam curling. You want me there? This is brother shit. But nerves jangled as Joshua drove through sheeting rain to the old mill. Haunt turned holy ground. The river swollen. Dock slick underfoot. Daniel waited under the eaves. Bundled in a peacoat too city for Alabama chill. Face lined deeper than memory. Josh. The hug was awkward. Backslaps masking tremors. They ducked inside. Rain drumming tin roof like impatient fingers. You look good, Daniel said. Eyes tracing Joshua's frame, filled out from home cooking. Confidence, a new suit. Domestic bliss? Joshua leaned on a beam. Arms crossed. Yeah. Connor's family. The cottage too. Daddy duty suiting the golden boy? Daniel winced. Rubbing neck. Emily left, postpartum. She said. Took the baby to her folks. I'm in a condo. Fighting for weekends. Rain lashed harder. Mirroring the deluge inside. I fucked up. The note, that was her rage. But I signed off. Coward shit. Joshua's throat tightened. Why now? Baby fever make you sentimental? No. Daniel met his gaze. Therapy. Church mandated. After the split. Turns out Dad's hate wasn't just for you. It ate him too. Beat Mom in whispers. Us in silence. I see it now. And you? You walked away whole. I envy that. Envy. The word bridged chasms. I didn't walk whole. Shattered. But San Francisco glued me, pride marches. Lovers who saw me. Not sin. Then here. Crashing your wedding. It cracked me open again. But Connor? They held the pieces. Daniel nodded. Tears mixing with rain drip. I want in. Not pity, family. For Harlan 4. Teach him baseball. Like you taught me. The ask hung. Vulnerable. Joshua weighed it. Forgiveness a gift. Not obligation. Slow, he said finally. Coffee first. No suits. No scandals. And Connor meets you, that's the bro code. Daniel's laugh broke. Relieved. Deal. Thanks. Ghost. The nickname stung sweet. They parted with a clasp, fists bumping. Old ritual, and Joshua drove home lighter. Storm easing to mist. Reunion bloomed gradual, coffees at the diner. Daniel cooing over Connor's chowder, Yankee heresy. Playdates with baby Harlan at the park. Tiny fists grasping Joshua's pinky. Emily lurked distant, joint custody. Icy texts, but Daniel softened. Jokes resurfacing. MLB games on TV with beers and banter. Missed this, he'd say. And Joshua would nod. The void filling. Betrayal's scar faded to silver. But humanism's true test came spring, Jake's spring break. Connor's boy arriving wide-eyed. Backpack stuffed with dinos. Aiton's solemn. Jake sized Joshua up over pancakes. Dad says you're his partner. Like Batman and Robin. Joshua grinned. Syrup sticky. More like Superman and the guy who keeps his cape clean. Days unfolded magic. Bayou fishing? Where Jake hooked his first catfish. Squealing, mural touch-ups. Tiny hands wielding brushes. Evenings with Eleanor reading bedtime stories. Her voice lulling to dreams. One night, as fireflies blinked outside the cottage, Jake curled between them on the couch, asleep to Finding Nemo. Connor's arm draped Joshua's shoulders. Voice low. Them, it's the life I didn't know to chase. Joshua kissed his temple. We built it. Brick by stubborn brick. Climax whispered. Not thundered, a family barbecue. Eleanor's backyard alive with smoke and song. Daniel flipping burgers. Emily absent but her shadow light. Ray toasting awkwardly. To kin. Queer or not. Jake chasing Harlan 4 on unsteady legs. Laughter peeling. Joshua caught Daniel's eye across the grass. A nod passing, forgiven, not forgotten. As dusk fell, stars pricking velvet sky, Connor pulled Joshua aside by the azaleas. Remember that white suit? Crashing in like a comet. Joshua chuckled. Hands on hips. Best bad idea ever. Connor knelt then. Ring glinting, simple platinum. Etched with intertwined rainbows. Marry me? Not for show, for us. The works. Tears welled. Joy pure. Yes. Hell yes. Cheers erupted, Eleanor clapping. Daniel Wolfe whistling, as they kissed. Sealing under magnolias. The wedding was small. Bayfront. Joshua in linen pale as promise. Connor in navy sharp as resolve. Vows echoed simple, in storms and stillness. I choose you. Rings exchanged. Bands warm as heartbeats. Daniel best minute. Toast teary, to brothers, loved. Jake Ringbear. Harlan flower boy. Petals scattered like confetti blessings. Reception spilled onto sand. Bonfire crackling. Waves lapping applause. Eleanor danced with Ray, old wounds waltzing to new tunes, while kids built castles. Moats against tides. Later, alone on the porch swing, Joshua leaned into Connor. Rings catching moonlight. Declared dead once, he murmured. Now, alive as hell. Connor kissed his knuckles. And loved. Fiercely. Humanism's grace, not erasure. But embrace, flaws folded in. Stories stitched whole. In America's heartland, under indifferent stars, they swung into tomorrow. Unbroken.